Hello. Recently, we just got back from our 25th anniversary from the Evangelical Network in Louisville, Kentucky. And I wanted to speak to something. I chose not to speak about it at the conference, and that is the closing of Exodus International. And the reason why I chose not to bring it up is because Exodus represents a lot of pain and a lot of destruction in people's lives. And this was a weekend to celebrate what God's done in the last 25 years through the ministry of the Evangelical Network, which has been powerful. And I chose not to address this, to potentially bring people down. But I wanted to talk about this, and I wanted to bring up some notes that I had prepared that I think are very important, and I want to be able to share those with you. Exodus, the Cure the Gays ministry, has decided to shut down. They had a going out of business and a fire sale recently, and after 38 years of trying to convince and market the message that a person can change from gay to straight, and that they should desperately try to do so, which included things like selling their possessions, checking into live-in programs, having their lives ordered around, for men to take butch classes. That included, how to play sports and how to change the oil in their car, and for women to take femme classes, which included how to apply makeup and how to dress like a lady. All these ridiculous claims. Exodus, that's probably turned more people away from God than they have turned people straight. There's no doubt about that. Yes, it's that Exodus that's claiming that they are shutting down. And my response to that is, it is about time. For 38 years, Exodus has done all but offer a money-back guarantee that if people will just say the right prayers, study their materials, and attend their support groups, that they will go from gay to straight. After 38 years, every evangelical leader that I have met with knows that the stats are not there to support any of their work. Even Alan Chambers, the president of Exodus, claims that 99.9% of the people that he's ever met through Exodus never changed, never went from gay to straight. And he even publicly admits that he too still deals with same-sex attractions. Now, let me ask this question. How on earth does a company last for 38 years with a 0.1% success rate? To me, that is the definition of insanity. But I'll tell you how they did it. It's with one word, and that is the word marketing. For decades, Exodus has promised change, hope, and freedom, and have used these words so freely in their promotional materials, all leading their followers to believe that there is something wrong with them and that they needed this drug that Exodus provided so that it could fix them. So they used it to lure in their prey, and they marketed themselves in reckless ways, offering things that they simply could not provide. John Smid, who was an Exodus leader for over 25 years, attended the Evangelical Network conference in 2010 in Irvine, California. After the conference, he and I spoke, and I asked him what was his takeaway from the conference. He said to me that he was astonished. He said, "In all the years that I've attended Exodus conferences, I never experienced what I experienced at the 10 conference. People at 10 had obviously worked on and dealt with their homosexuality and faith and were reconciled. They were actually going and ministering to one another and encouraging and praying for one another," he said. "Never in 25 years of Exodus did I see that. People simply were too broken to be able to go and minister to anyone." So, over the years, the blatant promises that promises from Exodus that change can and must happen, it's caught up with them, and they fully see that they can no longer hide behind these words. Over the years, they have moved from promising orientation change to trying to help people in other ways. I've spoke with countless people. I live here in the San Francisco Bay Area, in which one of the live-in programs has existed for many, many years. And we've had a lot of people that have come through the ministry, and I've had a chance to sit down and talk with them. And I've spoken to these people, and they admit that while pornography and sexual addiction, those issues have gotten better as part of those such groups, they also have gone on to say that their prayer life grew tremendously in these groups. But 100%, and I don't use that number lightly, 100% of them went on to say that that was not why they checked themselves into these groups. The reason why people check themselves into these groups is because there's this false promise that if you come to us, we will change you from gay to straight. And all of them came back and said that it doesn't work, and that is why they left these ministries. Because it wasn't working, Exodus has moved from a promise and a direct focus of change to more subliminal and sneaky tactics by guiding people to just play the part, and the part will play itself. There's been this more and more focus in recent years for people to hide and repress their homosexuality because it's bad and that's what you must do. Exodus and their ministries have led to countless people walking away from God, and they have gone recklessly and made claims that it's God or gay and that you have to choose. Many have heard these messages and decided that if I'm going to go to hell, I'm going in fashion, and have thrown themselves in destructive behaviors because of the rejection of ministry leaders. Frank Shears was one of those people who was rejected, and he went on a sex binge like he'd never experienced before, which resulted in his contraction of HIV, which led to full-blown AIDS and his eventual death. There was also other stories, such as the young man so distraught that he was not changing that he took a razor to his testicles and poured Drano on the bleeding open wounds, trying to rid himself of his homosexuality. There's the story of Bobby Griffith, who could no longer take the pressure from his mother preaching against him, so he threw himself off an overpass into an oncoming 18-wheeler. And just recently, a man left an ex-gay ministry in Australia and committed suicide. So needless to say, I'm thrilled that Exodus is closing, but sadly, I'm not fully convinced that this isn't just being repackaged into something else that may be just as destructful. Restored Hope Network has now sprung up as an offshoot of Exodus. And all they're doing is teaching the same ridiculous claims from the 70s and 80s that Exodus taught. They're using junk science. They're using statements that every boy and every man is gay because they have an overbearing mother. Every lesbian has had an absent father or has been raped. There simply are all kinds of ridiculous claims that are just not supported. I am thrilled that Exodus has decided to close, but we'll wait and see what happens in the future of this new ministry that is being birthed and what additional things come out of Restored Hope Network. I just want to encourage you all. There is so much more life, and God has promised to bring us life and that abundantly. And there's so much more life and abundant life waiting for you outside of these types of groups. God wants to give you that life. You can fully have a relationship with Jesus Christ and be the person that God has made you, whether you are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, or straight. That God wants you to be able to embrace your sexuality and to be able to serve Him. And I just want to encourage you in that it's not a choice of God or gay, that you can fully integrate. And we hope that you will contact us at the Evangelical Network to find out more about how that can happen. There are tons of people across this country who are serving God fully as LGBT and straight Christians. And I just want to encourage you, reach out and contact us if you need some support and you need some help. God bless you all. Bye-bye.